The book of Genesis opens with a striking declaration. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. No struggle among rival gods, no genealogy of divine beings, one creator. Then, Genesis introduces one of Scripture's greatest mysteries. The sons of God saw the daughters of men. The ancient book of 1 Enoch expands that account. It describes heavenly beings called the Watchers, descending to earth. These beings revealed knowledge humanity was never meant to receive. Azazel taught weapon-making, metalworking, jewelry, cosmetics. Other Watchers taught astrology, hidden signs, enchantments, heavenly mysteries. Notice the comparison. The Sumerian tradition celebrates divine beings associated with civilization and wisdom. The Book of Enoch warns of heavenly beings who corrupt humanity through forbidden knowledge. The overlap is not perfect, but the contrast is striking. One tradition praises, the other warns. The similarities continue. Genesis divides history into the world before the flood and the world after the flood. So does the Sumerian King List. Genesis remembers extraordinary figures before the flood. The Sumerian King List remembers kings with astonishingly long reigns before the flood. Genesis records a worldwide judgment. The Epic of Gilgamesh preserves a great flood remembered by another civilization. In Genesis, God warns Noah. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Ea warns Utnapishtim. In Genesis, a great vessel is built. In Gilgamesh, a great vessel is built. In Gilgamesh, Utnapishtim offers a sacrifice. The gods gather over the offering. In Genesis, Noah offers a sacrifice, and the Lord smelt a sweet savor. These parallels are among the clearest literary connections in the ancient world. History remembers civilizations, but civilizations remember stories. The oldest written records on Earth were not written by Egypt, not by Greece, not by Rome. They were written by the people of ancient Sumer. Thousands of clay tablets survived beneath the sands of Mesopotamia, preserving myths, kings, hymns, flood stories, and the names of the gods they worshipped. Were different civilizations, preserving memories of the same ancient world, while interpreting those memories in radically different ways. This documentary explores one theological interpretation of that question. We begin with Sumer, the earliest known civilization to leave, an extensive written record. One celebrates the gods of the nations. The other repeatedly calls humanity back to the worship of one creator. Perhaps the greatest question is not whether the stories resemble one another. The parallels are there for anyone willing to compare the texts. The greater question is why the interpretations are so different. Were the earliest civilizations preserving the same ancient memories through different theological lenses? Or does one tradition preserve a more faithful account than the other? That question cannot be answered by a single documentary. It requires reading the sources, comparing the texts. Genesis and the Book of 1 Enoch preserve the same ancient, historical memories while identifying the gods, celebrated by surrounding nations as rebellious, spiritual beings rather than true deities. The Book of Genesis, the Book of 1 Enoch. Mesopotamian texts: the Epic of Gilgamesh, Tablet 11, the Atrahasis Epic, the Mesopotamian flood tradition, and the creation of humanity, the Sumerian King List, Enki and the World Order, Inanna and Enki, the transfer of the me, the powers and institutions associated with civilization, selected Sumerian temple hymns, and hymns to Enki, Enlil, and Inanna, which illustrate the worship of the Mesopotamian pantheon. Genesis presents one sovereign creator acting with justice and purpose. The Mesopotamian account presents a council of gods with differing motives and emotions. The structure resembles one another. The worldview does not. Another connection appears in the story of Abraham. The Bible tells us Abraham came from Ur, one of the greatest cities of Mesopotamia. Then Joshua adds an often overlooked detail. Long ago, Terah, the father of Abraham, served other gods. The text is direct. Abraham's family came from a world devoted to Mesopotamian religion. According to later Jewish tradition, Terah was associated with idol-making, though the biblical text itself simply says he served other gods. Then God called Abraham to leave his homeland, to leave its religious world, to walk toward a land he had never seen. Within the theological framework explored in this documentary, that journey represents more than migration. It represents separation, a departure from the worship of many gods toward covenant with one God.